From the stories of Noah's Ark and Hannah on the lawn, through the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John. Whether you're new to this or an avid Sunday schooler, we'll learn about the Bible,
just like church,
but even cooler.
And we take what we learn and we use what we find to go into the world and let the light of God shine.
Buckle up, kids.
Minivangelism. It's time to go Minivangelism. In faith we go Minivangelism. Let's start the show.
Hello, Drew.
Hello, welcome back to the van.
Welcome back. And we are on our final week of the Advent Adventure.
Christmas is almost here.
It's so close.
Yes.
Oh, man. I'm really excited.
Me too.
Christmas is in 3 days.
It's amazing.
I know.
But I'm so excited for one more Advent adventure with you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited too. I have a question. Is your Christmas shopping done yet?
I'll have to ask the people that do the Christmas shopping in my family if it's done or not. But I'm done, and I got to go to the store with my kids to make sure that a couple people get presents from them. Nice. So that part's taken care of.
Nice.
What about you?
I think I'm done.
Good.
I will say, the Prime truck driver, the Amazon Prime driver, has just visited my home so frequently over the last few weeks that I'm thinking about just setting a place for him on Christmas Eve at our table.
I think that would be appreciated.
He's essentially a part of the family at this point.
All the delivery workers are really working hard this week.
They are. And then our same with our mail lady. We have a mail woman.
Nice.
And her name is Miss Kendra. And she's just the best.
Yes.
And so I've been seeing a lot of Miss Kendra this month.
I believe it.
So our last week,
Yeah.
Here we are. And we are talking about someone who I feel has a huge part in the story, but doesn't really get talked about enough.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And his name is
Joseph.
Joseph.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about him a little bit last week. But Joseph is, how'd you describe Joseph?
Some people describe him as like the adoptive father of Jesus or the foster father of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets to help raise Jesus. But Jesus shows up with Mary and God, and Joseph has no part of that.
Mm-hmm.
He has the responsibility of helping raise Jesus as a man of God.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we've had 3 weeks of a really great song. Is Joseph coming in?
Here he is.
Oh my goodness. All right. Throw it on the radio.
I think you're going to like it. Here it comes. We're going on an Advent adventure. Come along with me. 4 weeks till Christmas. Just enough time to wait and see. Light another candle and gather around the tree. We're going on an Advent adventure. Yippee! Who's that I hear singing glory in excelsis? Angels appear, OMG, let's take a selfie. I hear them singing tidings of great joy. Unto us is born a newborn baby boy. We're going on an Advent adventure. Come along with me. 4 weeks till Christmas. Just enough time to wait and see. Light another candle and gather around the tree. We're going on an Advent adventure. Yippee! Who's that I see running from their flocks by night? A shepherd spree. I guess something gave them quite a fright. No, wait, they're happy and bringing us good news. Christ is coming, let's go run and get our shoes. We're going on an Advent adventure. Come along with me. 4 weeks till Christmas. Just enough time to wait and see. Light another candle and gather around the tree. We're going on an Advent adventure. Yippee! Who's that lady sitting all alone? She's having a baby, you can tell by how her belly's grown. His His name is Jesus, by earth and heaven adored. Her name is Mary, hail the mother of the Lord. We're going on an Advent adventure, come along with me. 4 weeks till Christmas, just enough time to wait and see. Light another candle and gather around the tree. We're going on an Advent adventure, yippee! Hey, who's that fella holding Mary's hand? They're riding a donkey, traveling from a far-off land. Joseph had a dream one night and saw God's plan unfurled. Go help Mary raise her child, he's the savior of the world. We're going on an Advent adventure, come along with me. It's almost Christmas, just enough time to wait and see. Light another candle and gather around the tree. We're going on an Advent adventure, yippee! We're going on an Advent adventure, yippee!
Wow. What a great finish to a great song.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. It's been fun to hear a little bit each week and finally get to the part where it says just a little more time till Christmas.
Yes.
A few days till Christmas.
Just a few more days.
Yeah.
Joseph's bringing up the end.
Yes. But not before we get to talk about Joseph. So
Yes.
I'm excited about that.
So Joseph is a carpenter.
He is.
And so can you tell us what a carpenter is for those that may not know?
It's somebody who builds stuff, works with wood, especially in the ancient world, to build tables, chairs, even houses.
Yeah. And so Joseph was a carpenter and he was betrothed to Mary. And so,
Yeah, you keep using that word.
yes. So betrothed is like engaged,
Yeah.
but a little bit more. So when people are ready to get married, before they're married, they're engaged. And it's normally like one person asks another person, they give them a ring, and it's like a promise, and let's go ahead and get married. Back then, betrothed was actually an arrangement between your families.
Right.
And it's more than just engaged. It's like a legally binding contract.
Right. And it still happens in some cultures today, too.
Yeah. And so it's kind of a very long engagement and a very legal engagement.
Right. Like this is going to happen. Even if it takes years to get there, this is the plan.
Exactly.
And so Joseph and Mary knew they were going to get married, but they had not gotten married yet.
Right. And then one day Mary shows up and says, oh, by the way, I'm having a baby.
Yeah.
And it's God's baby. And Joseph is a little confused.
Yeah.
And he's not really sure what he wants to do.
Right, because especially in the ancient world, if your supposed to be wife has a baby, then that's not a good look. Like people can kind of look down on that because you're kind of supposed to wait till you get married. And so Joseph he had a choice to make. He could say goodbye to Mary and the baby, or he could stay. And he wasn't quite sure what to do. And one night he went to sleep.
He went to sleep, and an angel shows up
In his dream
and says, hey, bud, Mary's not lying. She's carrying the savior of the world. And you should help raise this baby. And you're going to name the baby Jesus. So both Mary and Joseph get told by the angel, you need to name this baby Jesus. And stick with her, stick by her. And Joseph wakes up from his dream and is like, all right, let's go. And so he stays with Mary.
Yeah.
And
one cool thing about Joseph is that we are told that even when he wasn't sure if he would leave or stay, he had already decided if he was going to leave, he was just going to do so quietly. He wasn't going to cause shame to come on Mary's house or her life. He was just going to do it quietly. And I think that's a note that, like, even if you're going to do that, he was going to try to do it with kindness and gentleness.
yeah.
And I think kindness and gentleness is part of what we associate with St. Joseph in general.
Yeah.
But after the angel comes, he decides to stick around.
Yeah. And so he and Mary, They work out a plan. And then one day, Joseph is told that Caesar, who is the emperor at the time, is taking a census. So they want to count everybody that lives in the area. And so you have to go to the place of your birth or your family's hometown. And Joseph, something really cool about Joseph is a descendant of King David. Now, he's just a carpenter, but a long time ago, his many times great-grandfather was King David, and King David was from Bethlehem. And so Joseph's family is from Bethlehem. So Joseph and Mary, they pack up and they travel to Bethlehem, which is kind of a serious deal because they didn't have cars or trains or planes. They had to travel by donkey. And Mary's about to have a baby.
Yeah. And I've never carried a baby, but I feel like if I were pregnant, I would not choose a donkey. No. But they do it. And there's lots of really cool art of them taking this long, kind of frightening journey to be in Bethlehem in time for the census and ultimately to be there when Jesus is born.
Yeah. I traveled from Georgia to Texas in a Toyota Yaris when I was 8 months pregnant, and that wasn't fun.
Yeah. There's probably no great way to take a long journey when one is pregnant. But they get there, and while in Bethlehem, they're looking for a place to stay. There's no room at any of the hotels.
No. Joseph did not make a reservation.
And so they end up in a stable or a barn with the animals. And that's where Jesus is born, and they lay him in a manger.
That's right. And then Joseph, after that, Joseph takes care of Jesus. He's Jesus's, like you said, adopted dad.
Yeah.
And teaches Jesus how to be a carpenter, just like he's a carpenter. And we don't really hear much about Joseph after the story.
Right.
But it's really cool that that he, like you said, he stuck around.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what do you wonder about Joseph?
I kind of have the same I wonder question that you had last week, which is, I wonder how old Joseph was.
Yeah. Because in the ancient world, sometimes older men got betrothed to younger women.
Yeah.
Because part of what it was is they wanted the women to be able to have lots of kids to grow a big family, to work on farms and do all that stuff. So they could have been very distant in age, but we don't actually really know. I feel like he was old enough to have grown in kindness.
Yeah.
So however long it takes a guy to grow into the kind of father that we would want for Jesus, that's how old he is. Although I will confess that I'm still waiting to be old enough to be a kind father. Maybe by the time I'm 50, I'll have it down.
But in public, you seem like a very kind father.
That's good. My children will listen to this, and they will have stories. I don't always manage to be kind, but I don't leave. I stay with the family, and I do love them. I have a couple pictures of Saint Joseph in my house. Because he's kind of the patron saint of fathers, and he's kind of my buddy. I see those pictures and remember him, and sometimes when I'm like rolling my eyes about how hard it is to be a dad, I think of him, and then definitely when I'm really proud and glad that I get to be a dad, I think of him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any I wonder questions about this?
I wonder, kind of the same I wonder question you asked last week. I wonder how Joseph told people about this, because, again, like it would have been culturally acceptable for him to leave. I feel like he probably had to explain to people why he decided to stay. And did he tell them about the angel that visited him in a dream? Or did he keep them to himself and like ponder it in his heart like Mary did? I wonder how that happened and how those conversations went.
Yeah.
I think I think about how dads and moms let friends and families know that they're expecting a baby, either through birth or through adoption. There's a couple in our church right now that's expecting, and because I'm their pastor, they told me before they told anybody else.
Oh, really?
And it was really cool. In our family, we have 3 children. One, we had to have a doctor's help to conceive. and then the other two are adopted. And then this family, they needed a doctor's help too. So they kind of let me in on it because they know I had been there. And then just last week, they told everybody else. And so I feel like I got to be kind of in on it early. And it makes me wonder, like, who did Joseph let in on it? Again, for Mary, it was Elizabeth. I hope that Joseph had some people, like maybe a couple guy friends who he could say, look, I'm staying. And I know that's weird, but it feels like the right thing to do. And his friends would say, yeah, that sounds like the right thing to do. And we've got your back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, guys.
Right. Right. And have my back. Like when people talk about us because we're this couple that's having a baby before we're married, when people judge us for that,
Right.
Stick up for me. Don't let them do that to us. And, yeah, in my wondering imagination, those are things that I think about, and that I hope, and I imagine Joseph had to have those kinds of people in his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had an I wonder last week, and now that we're talking about both parents, I feel like it's a little more appropriate. Is I wonder what it was like raising Jesus when you're raising God's son, and he acts like a toddler.
Right. Right.
When you've had no sleep and he's crying all night, or he goes into your, woodworking shop and he knocks over the project that you've been working on.
Yes.
What was that like?
Yes. And I can tell you, I know what it was like. Being a parent is hard. Being in a family is hard. And it's part of...
But it's God's kid.
And so are our kids.
That's true.
Like our kids aren't Jesus, but every child is a gift from God that we're in charge of taking care of, and helping them grow and learn from their mistakes. Sometimes accepting their mistakes because they're just a kid, and that's part of why, as a family, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus are known as the Holy Family, and that's another reason why I have pictures of them in my home. Because just like we're invited to see Mary as this really faithful disciple, so we're invited to see this family as the kind of family that we would like to be able to have, who have to figure it out together. Because that's what being a family is we're just figuring it out together. We're figuring out what it means to be parents. We're figuring out what it means to be children, and we're figuring out what it means to be family. And part of what, not to skip to the next question, but part of what we see about God is that when God shows up in person, God chooses to show up in a family, as if to say, like, this is where I want to be found, is in a family, in the love of a family, and in the life of a family.
I like that.
Yeah. And it also connects to other stories from the Bible. Like God has always been in the family making business, with Abraham and Sarah and Jacob and 12 sons. So God has always been a God of the family. And I think that is good news to families, and it also helps us understand that even being a family is part of how we are the people of God. Yeah.
That's cool. So you touched on it already.
Yeah, but since I touched on it, I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
What does the Joseph story tell us about God?
I think that what this story tells us about God... Can I repeat my answer from last week?
Sure.
I think that God can use anybody.
Yeah.
Even a carpenter. A poor carpenter. Even a carpenter that has doubt.
Right.
Initially. Like he hears from Mary and he's like, I don't, no, thank you.
Right.
and isn't just so quick to agree. You know what I mean? I think that also tells us that God is patient, and God will make it clear what, if he's calling you to do something, if he wants you to do something, God will make it clear to you. Even if that's sending an angel in a dream,
right.
You know what I mean? God will make that clear. And I think that's what it says.
And both of them help us see that, like, not being so sure about this whole God thing is incredibly normal.
Yeah.
That it's what everybody whose name makes it in the Bible had some moment where they were not so sure about this whole God thing. And the one who's in charge of convincing us is God. Yeah. And so it's okay to not be so sure about this God thing. What the invitation is to stay open to it. And once it's made clear, to trust that it can be a good thing. I mean, at this beginning of the story, Joseph isn't so sure. We don't read about it in the Bible, but I imagine, when Joseph is on his deathbed, what an honor it must have been to be a part of God's family in this way.
Yeah.
So I doubt that in the end he regrets saying yes to this. And same for Mary. At the beginning, though, we can be unsure, and that's normal. But saying yes to God always ends up being something that that we can be proud of or glad for and feel good about.
Yeah. This is another I wonder, but kind of goes with what you were saying.
Sure.
Do you think that when they got to Bethlehem and there were no rooms and Mary's having to give birth in a barn, that they questioned for a hot second, like, this is the Son of God and nobody will give us a room?
Yeah, maybe. But that makes
This
it
is
sound
the Son of God in a trough.
right. Yeah, but I also think, like, having been in a family, there are plenty of times when something we think is going to go one way ends up going another way, and we say, "Well, I guess this is how this is going to happen."
Yeah.
Like, I remember when our first child was very young, we went on a big trip, and we were so excited about it. And we finally got there, and then we were going to take her around to where we went to college, where we met. And when we reached in to pull her out of her car seat, she had pooped all over herself.
Oh, no.
And it's one of those moments where, well, I guess this is how this is going to go. Not what we expected, not what we had planned, but we're going to roll with it. I think that's part of being a family too. So I'm sure there was some disappointment. And then because they're a family that's doing what God has asked them to do, there comes a point where we're like, okay, I accept this, and we're going to make the best of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also kind of wonder what Joseph thought when all the shepherds show up.
I feel like I would be excited to have other dudes there. Feel like, hey guys, yeah, come in here and check out what's happening, and please understand me, and maybe can one of you stay with the kid while I just go get some air?
Yeah. And get the kid with the drum out of here.
Yeah, tell that drummer boy, please stop. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Last week.
Yes, you stumped me.
I stumped you.
It was very rude.
Well, okay, but you did give me a hint.
Yes.
So my stump question is a little bit easier this week.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm ready.
How many times did an angel talk to Joseph in dreams?
This Joseph?
This Joseph.
Okay.
We'll get to the other Joseph in a minute, but this Joseph.
It was just once.
No.
What?
No.
Was there 2 dreams?
There were 3, my guy.
Oh, man.
Did I just stump you?
You did. I missed that detail entirely.
I gave you a softball, man.
There's 3 times?
Yes. So when Jesus is born, King Herod finds out that there is a king. And so he is not happy. And
That's
so
right.
he's like, we got to get rid of all the babies.
That's right.
And so Joseph has another dream, and an angel says, get your family, go to Egypt.
Yeah.
They live in Egypt for a couple years. And then when that Herod dies, an angel comes back to Joseph in a dream and says, get your stuff. Herod's gone. You can go back home now.
Yeah.
And so 3 times he dreams that an angel talks to him.
Yeah. I know that, but I didn't remember it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
But just before we get to my stump,
Yes.
this Joseph has a very similar story as another Joseph in the Bible. And we're going to talk about this Joseph in 2025, actually.
Yeah.
There is a Joseph who has a lot of dreams. God talks to him through dreams. He's one of Jacob's sons. He's Jacob's favorite son. And it's God's talking to him in dreams that sends him on this incredible journey.
Yeah.
And he goes to Egypt.
That's
just
right.
like this Joseph has dreams that send him to Egypt.
That's right.
But our Joseph that we're talking about today, he goes to Egypt because he wants, or he goes to Egypt by choice.
Right.
Whereas the other Joseph kind of goes to Egypt not by choice.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I love it when New Testament stories remind us of Old Testament stories like that.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for me to stump you?
I'm ready.
Okay. What does Joseph's name mean?
I saw this last night.
You did?
It means dreamer. Oh! What does Joseph's name mean?
First, I just say the words. You stumped me, Drew. Do it.
I got stumped
Bye.
by the question you asked.
Try again.
Drew, you stumped me.
Thank you. Now I will confess that I don't know the answer to this question either. So I decided that we're going to find out together because I knew it, but I don't know it right now. So, hey, Siri.
Uh-huh.
What does the name Joseph mean?
Joseph means, in the Bible, a Hebrew patriarch, son of Jacob, and oldest son of Rachel.
Oh, that's not what I'm asking. That's the character.
You have a boy Siri?
Yes, boy Australian Siri.
That's cool.
All right, hold on. We're looking it up.
How are you going to ask me a question that you don't even know the answer to?
Oh, it means that God will add to your number.
Oh.
That's kind of cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So I did stump you, but I also asked you a question I don't know the answer to.
Oh.
Isn't that fun?
That's fun. But I need to hear you say, Anna, you stumped me twice.
I've said that every time. Anna, you stumped me twice. That's fine. But you also stole my thunder because I was excited to make the connection to the Joseph of Genesis and this Joseph.
Sorry.
It's okay.
We
I
can
forget
go
it.
back. We can just cut out where I say it, and then you can go in there.
The one other fun fact that I do want to add. Well, this is extra innings of Stump Us. Do you know what the name Jesus means?
Isn't it like Joshua?
Yes, it's the same name. That's not what it means.
I don't know.
So the fun fact is that Jesus is named Joshua, the kind of the same name, but it's translated as Jesus for us. And the name Jesus means God saves. Oh. And in the dream to Joseph, the angel says, you will name him Jesus because he will be the savior of the world. And so that's another way in which everybody's name kind of adds to the story and gives them an extra meaning. So, Joseph, God will add to your number. Mary is connected to Miriam from Exodus. Joseph is connected to Joseph from Genesis. And so is their trip to Egypt and all those things. Mm-hmm. There's so many different connections. And Jesus, his name means God saves.
Mm-hmm. And is like we said, it's kind of a variation of Joshua.
Right.
Which the Joshua in the Bible also did some pretty amazing saving stuff.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I asked a trick question, but I still take it as a win that I stumped you.
You can take it as a win.
Thank
and
you
I
very
am
much.
so looking forward to January 2025 when we get back in the van and the kids are bringing the heat.
That's great. I look forward to being stumped by the children.
I'm just going to have all kindergartners because they're the ones that
get me.
Stump you.
Yeah. So, in the last few days of Advent, mm-hmm. I think sometimes it involves a lot of family time.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a time to remember the story, to remember Joseph and the Holy Family, both as something to aspire to and as a comfort that Saint Joseph, Saint Mary, and Jesus Christ are your biggest fans and your biggest cheerleaders, mm-hmm. and praying for you and helping you, even when your family is difficult or you have a hard day, but especially if you have some warm moments, some tender moments, some good times together. You can remember the story and remember that God is the God who blesses families.
And if you are traveling for Christmas, if you are traveling across states, across oceans, or even if you're just going down the street, remember the story. Remember this story because there's a lot of traveling in this story from Nazareth to Bethlehem, from Bethlehem to Egypt.
And if you have a chance, ride a donkey.
Yes. Yes. Or just put a stuffy under your shirt and then just see how uncomfortable it is just being in your car.
That would work too.
Or if you get a new bike for Christmas, put a stuffy under your shirt. Try to ride the bike.
I like that way of acting it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, we hope that you have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you for coming on the Advent adventure with all of us. If you are looking for a place to worship this Christmas Eve, we are a ministry of Grace United Methodist Church in Manassas, Virginia. We will be having 4 services on Christmas Eve. Drew, would you like to tell us about those?
4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 11 o'clock. And children are welcome
PM.
at PM. Children are welcome at any and all of those, but the 4 o'clock service is particularly designed with families in mind.
Yes, and if you come to the 4 o'clock service, you actually get a chance to act out the story as
To play one of these characters.
Yeah, as either a shepherd or a sheep.
Yep.
So we hope you can join us, but even if you are not in the area, we hope that you will find a church home and just a place to celebrate the Christmas season. And yeah, if you want parents, you can follow us on Instagram. We are at Minivangelism. And if you want to share your Christmas traditions with us, if you want to wish us a Merry Christmas, you can send us an email to minivangelism@gmail.com. We love hearing from kids. We will be taking a break so we can celebrate the holidays with our family, but we will be returning in January. Follow the Instagram page and you will be able to see when we are returning in January. We'll post announcements and we may even have a special mini-sode preview coming up soon to give you information about 2025.
The last thing I wanted to mention is if Minivangelism has been a blessing to you this year and you'd like to make a gift to the church to support the podcast, you're more than welcome to do so. You can visit our webpage, umcgrace.org, and click the giving button. And we would welcome a Christmas gift that helps us keep on bringing this podcast, these stories, and these conversations to you and your family.
That's right. All right. Well, we hope you have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye, Drew.
Bye.
Minivangelism and the Driver's Seat are hosted by Anna Burrell and Drew Colby. Theme song written by David Burrell and produced by Evan Setzer. The theme song was performed by David Burrell, Drew Colby, and Evan Setzer. Podcast, sound design, and editing done by David Burrell. Minivangelism and the Driver's Seat are a ministry of Grace United Methodist Church in Manassas, Virginia. For more information, check out umcgrace.org.